Did you know you can get a jump start on your spring gardening by digging through your recycling bin? Grab yourself a milk jug or an apple cider jug, and just below the level of the handle, you are just going to cut a line around, but not completely around. You want to create almost a little bit of a hinge. Essentially, what we're going to be making here is a little greenhouse for winter sowing. You're then going to make a couple holes in the bottom for drainage just in case. Then you're going to want to take some good quality potting soil and fill them up almost to your cut line, but not quite. Seeds don't need to be too deep in order to grow. Once you've got that in, you can water it in a little bit if your potting soil happens to be a bit dry, and then sprinkle in whatever seeds you'd like to start. I'm using some spinach seeds here. And then you can either push them down and cover them up, or you can add a little bit more soil on top and water it in again. Then you're going to want to pivot the lid back over, kind of sealing it up as best you can, and then put them in a nice sunny spot. And the goal is that they're going to stay cold. And then once the weather warms up, the seeds will begin to germinate and you'll already have a jump start on your seedlings. Next, you can get your old pruners that maybe you've left out. Put them in a solution of half white vinegar, half water, and let them soak overnight. You'll literally see the rust the next morning. Then pull your pruners out, use a nice bristled brush to get off any remaining rust spots. And then just grab yourself some kind of lubricant. I've got some WD-40 here, and you're going to want to apply that to any of the hinging parts of your pruners. But going ahead and getting your tools looking great in the winter gets you ready to jump right into gardening.
Grab an eggshell, fill it with soil, and plant a seed. Place it on your windowsill, and now you've got a seedling that can be planted directly into your garden. Eggshells are full of nutrients too. Grab a sleeve for trading cards, fold your seed packages in half, and slide it inside. Put them in a duotang, and now you've got a super organized seed book. Grab a milk jug, draw the following lines, cut it out, and now you have a shovel that is perfect for scooping soil into pots. Press a mini muffin tin into the soil, and now you have evenly spaced markings for planting your seedlings. I hope these easy garden hacks inspire you. Thanks for watching Hometalk, and see you next time.
I love growing flowers. However, I don't always like to constantly worry about keeping them watered. Any waterproof container can be used. Since I'm choosing an old leaky metal tub, here's how I'm going to waterproof it. I'm setting a milk jug inside the tub, then marking the tub just above the jug level. Using a metal drill bit, I'm now drilling some drain holes on both sides of the tub where I marked. To waterproof the tub, I'm rolling out heavy gauge builder plastic. The plastic is being cut to fit inside the tub. Next, the plastic is being pushed into the tub. I'm using duct tape to attach the plastic to the tub sides to hold it in place. I'm gathering the four corners, then stapling them together. Next up is to create a screen, which will separate the soil from the water. I'm placing a milk jug inside the tub, then measuring the inside of the tub just above the milk jug. Using those measurements, I'm cutting 4 cedar strips to create a square wood frame. Now I'm adding 2 more strips to fill in the sides, making the frame completely flat. Some old window screen is being placed across the top of the frame, then roughly cut to size, then attached to the frame with screws. Now I'm making a water reservoir. I'm drawing long slits into one side of each of the 4 milk jugs, then cutting the shape out with an X-Acto knife against a metal ruler. The milk jugs are being turned cut side down. These slits will absorb water. All 4 milk jugs are being positioned into a square shape, with each pouring spout running into a bottom end. Holding 2 milk jugs together, the jug openings are first being traced with a felt pen, then cut out with an X-Acto blade. All the milk jugs are being attached to each other by pushing the pouring spouts into the bottoms through the cut holes. To create a water feeder tube, I'm tracing a plastic bottle lid on top of a milk jug, then cutting a hole with an X-Acto knife. Now I'm cutting the bottom of the plastic bottle right off. Next is inserting the pouring spout end into the milk jug. Using a drill bit, I'm drilling holes along the tops of the milk jugs so the plant roots will gravitate towards them once filled with water. Back to the planter, I'm adding about 1 inch of potting soil onto the bottom of the tub to create a base. Then the milk jug reservoir is being placed inside the tub. The feeder tube is being removed, then the screen is being placed on top so I can cut a feeder tube hole through the screen. Then I'm adding soil under and on top of the screen until it's deep enough to plant flowers. I'm filling the feeder tube with water, which is now filling up the reservoir, and watching the side drainage holes to ensure they are working. And there you have it, a totally self-watering flower planter that basically takes care of itself. No more constant watering is required. Just check the feeding tube periodically and top with water every so often as needed. Here's another easy garden hack using dollar store garbage cans. I'm cleaning up a neglected flower bed by first raking up any dead debris. Then I'm fluffing up the soil and removing any weeds. To create a sharp flower bed edge, I'm using a half-moon edger to cut a nice straight line, then removing the turf parts. Next, I'm planting flowers by digging a hole, then planting the roots and covering with soil. For added protection, I'm now covering each flower with a dollar store garbage can. They are sized perfectly for new flowers and can protect your plants from wildlife and harsher weather. The garbage cans are so easy to lift to inspect the flowers, remove completely, or simply leave them there until the flowers are stronger. Now my flower bed is tidy and I know my plants are well protected until they really take off. I hope this inspired you to create your own easy garden hacks this summer. Thanks for watching Home Talk, and see you next time.
I had a very old and large flower pot, so I started with some Rust-Oleum spray paint in the color cement, and I spray painted the outside of the entire flower pot as well as the upper lip and a little bit into the inside edge of the flower pot. There was a little ledge on the outside, and I decided to add a gingham ribbon. Now these flower pots are really large, and it takes a lot of soil sometimes to fill these up. Use pine cones. This will allow for drainage and they will decompose over time. Use straw or hay inside the flower pot to fill it partway up. It allows for great drainage. You can use old paper, whether it's recycled paper, old phone books, or magazines. Add some rocks or some bricks to the bottom half of a flower pot. Another option is to grab some pool noodles. Cut the pool noodles into small sections. Place all of these sections into the flower pot, and it takes a little bit of arranging to get them into the flower pot the way you want them to look. You could stop here, or I'm going to add a pizza pan to the top of the pool noodles. The water will be able to drain around the outside edge. I add some soil to the top of the pizza pan, and then it's time to plant my flowers. Once I get everything planted into the flower pot, it's ready to be displayed all summer long.
Hosta are great plants. They're so easy to grow and divide if you want more. Most of them are deer, rabbit, and disease resistant. I have a lot of hosta at my house, all different varieties for sun and shade. I think the biggest question everybody has about hosta is which variety should be planted in the sun and which varieties are for the shade. The answer is the lighter the foliage, the brighter the sun. So you would plant golden or chartreuse hosta in full sun. The variegated leaved variety would go in sun or shade, and the blue-leafed variety are for full shade. The most popular variety that you see are the variegated, such as Minuteman or Liberty. These can be planted anywhere and will thrive. The soil for hostas should be slightly acidic and have good drainage. But with a little care, they will mature in 4 to 8 years, and some will grow into massive plants. The best time to divide a hosta is in the spring before the leaves unfurl, but you can really divide them in any season as long as it's not really hot outside. To begin, place your shovel at the base of the plant and dig down about 5 inches. You want to dig around the entire perimeter of the plant, then lift it out of the garden. Hosta have very shallow roots, so it's very easy to dig. To divide the hosta, you lay it on its side and then place a garden spade in the middle of the root ball. A garden spade is different than a regular shovel. A garden spade has a flat bottom. Now you want to press down firmly on the spade with your foot and split the hosta. You can continue to split the hosta as many times as you like. You just need to make sure that each new plant has roots attached. Now you need to plant your new little hosta plants. You want to dig a hole a little larger than the actual plant. Hold the leaves up and fill the hole with soil. You want to remove any leaves that have broken off and water well. Recut the ends of any leaves that you removed and arrange them in a vase, just as you would with flowers. This display will last for weeks.
I decided that I really didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on this project, so I used whatever things I had around the house already. And then to keep the soil from coming out of the sides, we used some landscape fabric and some of those pieces of wood to hold the fabric in place. And I used some old 4x4s left over from an old playset to make planter boxes. So we salvaged what we could from the old garden and pressure washed the bricks and the patio stones. And I reclaimed the sand and pebbles from the old garden to level out the walking space between the boxes. Then I added more of the reclaimed soil from the old garden, planted some seeds, planted some pretty flowers because you want your garden to look pretty. And of course, you want to be able to eat out of your garden. So I added some herbs as well as some tomatoes and some peppers, cucumbers, and a few other things. Now, I'm no master gardener, but I have learned a few things over the years. Eggshells, for instance, can add calcium back into your soil, which is particularly good for tomatoes. Just crunch up the shells and sow them into your soil. Another way to add additional nutrients back into your soil is ashes from wood-burning logs. Now, this will also raise the pH of your soil, so you wouldn't want to put it around acid-loving plants like azaleas and blueberries and strawberries, but it's really great for tomatoes and a lot of the other plants in your garden, as well as the hardwood trees in your yard. It's been a few weeks and the garden is starting to really look beautiful.